The New York Knicks have struggled to begin this season, currently barely above 500 at a record of 9-7 in the Eastern Conference. They no longer appear to be the same frightening team as they were in 2021, and are looking likely to slip down the standings toward the bottom of the playoff picture, rather than remain in the top 4 like they managed to last season. New York has lost to many teams they should realistically beat as well, because it's not like they've had a strong schedule so far, losing to teams like the Magic twice, Cavaliers and Raptors, as well as being scared by the Rockets just the other day, beating the worst team in basketball by just 7 points. So, what has been the problem early on? What's going wrong with the Knicks, and how do they fix it? I'll be going over that in today's video. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. For more NBA content like this, I'd love to reach 18,000 subscribers by December, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about the New York Knicks. The first big problem I've noticed in the Knicks early on this season is their defense, as it's been significantly worse compared to last season. In 2021, the Knicks' stifling defense implemented by Tom Thibodeau became their identity. It was the major reason behind a lot of their surprising success. However, the defensive identity and tenacity that bred so much success for New York is not as existent anymore in this new season, with the Knicks currently ranked 17th in defensive rating compared to last year, where they had the 4th best defensive rating in the league, just behind the Utah Jazz, 76ers, and Lakers. There are a few reasons why I feel like this slip in defensive levels has happened for New York. The first is simply, other teams in the league got better defensively. As a whole, New York's defensive rating has not slipped as much compared to last season, at least as a number. It's actually almost identical. But right now, in the NBA, teams are scoring a lot less per game than last season. So in reality, that defensive rating number this season is actually worse to last season, though it is statistically a very similar number. Teams like Golden State, Denver, Washington, and Chicago, to just name a few, have dramatically improved their defense this season thanks to new acquisitions or a slight change in play style, and as a result, New York have fallen behind the pack. The Knicks have also declined defensively as they've introduced some more offensively oriented players to help with their half-court offense, something that was a significant contributor to their early playoff exit last season. Bringing in guys like Kemba Walker, who should help on the offensive end, will ultimately result in some sacrifice defensively, so that is probably a reason why the Knicks have found themselves in the mud a bit on that end. To be fair to the Knicks, I think these additions to improve the offense have been worthwhile, as the Knicks now have the 11th best offense in the league in terms of offensive rating, whereas last year they ranked 22nd. But again, by improving the offense, New York has lost some of its defense, and that's why they may be off to a slower start than expected. Another reason why the Knicks are struggling currently is because of poor play from the starting lineup and the stars of the team. As a result of these new additions to the lineup, such as Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, the Knicks core players are still gelling together and trying to figure each other out and how to best play alongside each other. And overall, this is impacting their effectiveness. Kemba Walker is averaging just 12 points on the season, shooting below average from the field, but to his credit, is shooting exceptionally from 3. However, during Kemba's recent stretch of 5 games or so, he's been averaging just 11 points per game and is shooting 35% from deep and 44% from the field. Again, poorer efficiency than he's experienced in previous seasons. Julius Randle has also quietly struggled to begin this season, dropping his numbers back down to just 19 points per game from 24 last season, and experiencing a significant downfall in his efficiency, currently with a true shooting percentage of 51%, whereas in 2021, his true shooting percentage was just under 57%. This poor play has been reflected in the net rating figures for the Knicks starting 5, as that group of players currently have the worst net rating of any 5-man lineup in the NBA this season, with a negative 17 net rating. This starting 5 group also has the worst defensive rating in NBA history, which is obviously coming from a small sample size, but still, it's clear that the current starting five is struggling and is contributing to the Knicks' defensive issues and overall slow start. What's interesting though is the bench unit of the Knicks, which for the most part have played multiple seasons together, are major positives net rating wise for the Knicks, with their bench lineup having the best 5-man net rating in the NBA this season at positive 30.7. That's ridiculously good, and suggests that New York's bench have been able to keep them afloat as the starting group has struggled to gel to begin the season. But what do these problems mean for New York? How do they fix them? To fix the latter problem I mentioned today, the Knicks probably just need time. The bench unit has remained largely intact for multiple seasons, so Thibodeau has pretty much figured out the best effective rotations for those players. It's why that 5-man lineup from the second unit has been so effective. However, Tibbs will need more time to understand where his starters fit and how to best rotate them on and off the court. So as the season goes on, we should see them improve. As for the struggling players who aren't helping the matter, that's obviously going to come down to time as well, as players will start to get more used to each other as the season goes on and as the side enters mid-season form. As for the defensive issues, it definitely has potential to improve. There are a lot of great defensive-minded pieces on this team. However, it really should be better than it is. So while waiting for players to pick up the effort and play on that end is a decent strategy to use for now, if this is still an issue for the Knicks come the trade deadline that is still holding them back, then the Knicks perhaps should go searching for a defensively oriented player to boost their effectiveness of Tibbs' system on that end of the floor. Who knows who that is right now or if they'll even need to do it, but that's where I sit on the matter currently. Overall, these are the problems with the New York Knicks that I've noticed so far this season. Defense has not been as dominant as last season, which was important for making the Knicks such a formidable team, and there have been some early season struggles with the starting five and new additions to the team. Will the Knicks figure things out? To be honest, I'm really not sure, and while they aren't in a terrible spot right now, in the 5th seed, sitting above 500, things can definitely get worse if they don't figure it out soon, as they have the toughest schedule in the NBA for the rest of the season, according to Tankathon.com. They definitely should be doing a lot better than they are, and with teams like Milwaukee, Boston, and Charlotte starting to find their groove and a nightmare run of games in the next 2 weeks ahead for New York, there's definitely some reason for concern for Knicks fans. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but the Knicks have been vastly substandard in 2022 compared to what they were expected to be, and I hope that today, my insight has explained, at least partially, why they are struggling this season. And that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? What's happened to the New York Knicks to you? What do they need to change in order to get back to their winning ways? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.